listening to Something Cheeky, a collection of podcasts where two sisters discuss TV, books, and movies with just enough irreverence and far too many pop culture references.
Welcome to Something Cheeky, the Gentleman Bastards edition, where we discuss the Lies of Locke Lamora, book 1 of the series by Scott Lynch. I'm Nikki.
I'm Rosanna.
Well, I've read the entire series. Rosanna has only read up to what we're covering today, which is the 4th interlude, The Boy Who Cried for a Corpse. In this episode, Locke steals a dead guy and then gets paid for the privilege. Rosanna, what did you consider to be a revelation from this interlude?
So what I'm going to do is actually combine my revelation and my favorite quote.
Ooh, okay.
Because they're very much in the same vein.
All right.
My revelation is how early this team was taken over by Locke.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that was going to happen, but he was 8. I mean,
One year.
Yeah, he really took over. And then my quote is from the book. It's Father Chain's thinking about Locke. He would remember the moment ever after, the night the Sanses conceded that Locke would be the brains of the operation, the night they were relieved to have him as the brains of the operation. And those go perfectly together. It's just amazing at such a young age and still learning a lot that Father Chain is teaching him. The Sanses were like, heck yeah, we're going to just follow you anywhere.
Nice. So let's get into the action of what actually happened in this chapter. We had a really great overview of the breadth of the knowledge that Father Chains is bestowing upon Locke.
That, in my mind, was a training montage.
It was, really.
Yeah, it was.
He had the religious work, the Paralandro apprentice work he had to learn. And then hand signals, which certainly came into play when they had to bless the hanging man.
Yeah.
And all the writing that he learns. He starts to learn Vadran, which they said sounded like everything you said in that language sounded angry. So I immediately thought of German.
Oh, it does kind of sound like that. If you don't know what somebody's saying. Yeah.
Yeah. They learned to cook. And the whole description of what they had to do to prepare the infant shark meal made me want to be a vegetarian.
Yes, that was
just plucking
gross.
The eyes and the teeth and stuffing it with things after pulling its guts out. It sounded disgusting.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think I would eat that.
I would not.
Yeah. Also how to dress, specifically in fancy hose. It makes me wonder about their actual outfits because we haven't really heard much about what regular people wear here.
Right. Yeah.
It all sounds very hose and breeches kind of looks.
Yeah.
He also gets all the table etiquette, which he started to learn his very first night there. How to pour wine and how to pull out chairs. Doesn't seem like it's quite gotten to where he's learning the different customs of different places yet, but just kind of general how to eat like a normal person that's not a starving orphan.
Right.
Which is good. It's good to know that.
How to take a breath in between bites.
Yeah. And Locke and the Sansa twins start to prank each other. But the twins cannot catch Locke because he is so paranoid from Shades Hill. They can't even catch him sleeping.
I know. I mean, it's like, it's funny, but it's also really sad that is how he has been living. He's super paranoid.
Yeah.
But it makes him very skilled, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
How could you even learn that much in 1 year?
Oh my god, so much. Well, I guess if you spend, probably 12 hours a day.
I guess, but I mean, he's just a kid.
Well, they're even practicing while making dinner. They're not allowed to, speak anything but Vadran.
That's true, and I guess if Father Chains really sort of folds those lessons into regular life anyway. Plus, Locke is probably just so grateful to be well fed and taken care of.
Yeah,
and I think that he comes across as the kind of child / adult, that picks things up really quickly and is eager to.
Yeah, I think that even if without Father Chain's instruction, he would certainly be learning as much as possible.
Yeah, I think so too.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Father Chain's is teaching them this just huge number of different things and languages and customs from different places, including accents. So how do you think Father Chains knows all that?
I don't know. I never thought about that until you said it. And then I was like, wait, yeah. I don't know how he learned all that. And didn't we sort of talk about how when he died or during this time he's like in his 50s? Do we know how long he was at the temple?
I think they said something about 13 years at one point.
So
I'm not positive, but that sounds right.
I feel like unless and I'm gonna say what one of my theories is, but I'm already gonna tell you right now it's not gonna work. I was gonna say, well, maybe somebody did the same for him that he's doing for Locke and the Sansa boys, but I don't think that that's true, because even if he did learn some stuff when he was younger, things change so quickly. He would have had to add so much more to it, and he must travel. That's the only thing I can think. He must, when he's not chained up, he must go even farther than just Camor. He must have people that he talks to. He must have lots of contacts. I mean, because this is a lot of information from a lot of places about a lot of different kinds of people.
He'd have to have entrance into huge, varying levels of society, too.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, levels of, like, from the lowest to beggars and orphans all the way up practically to the Duke. So I don't know how he's getting this information, because it's so much. He must just travel a lot and be really, really sneaky, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I think probably he either learned a whole lot when he was a young adult, or maybe was raised as a, in the higher class possibly, so he learned some of that. But over those years, he would have really had to keep adding and adding yet adding as times change.
Well, he knew Kappa Barsavi from before, and since we learned in the last chapter that Kappa was a scholar basically in the college.
So they were dorm roommates, is what you're saying.
Maybe.
They were frat boys together. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he had some good schooling and was that sort of comfortable kind of thing that we talked about Jean. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it was something else, because I just don't know about this guy.
Now I'm imagining a talented Mr. Ripley situation.
Yeah.
Father Chains is Matt Damon, and the Duke is Jude Law.
Yes, I like that. Jude Law would play a good Duke.
Yeah. He's really good at smarmy rich guys.
He really is. I think it's because he is one. But you know what? Even if that's what he really is like, I'll still see his movies. I think he does a good job.
He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
I haven't started watching the new Bishop, or the Pope, the young Pope.
I haven't watched it either.
Yeah, I'll have to see if it's any good.
Yeah.
We get 1 year into Locke's stay, and he finally starts to learn about thievery. Well, I guess he doesn't really learn. He kind of comes up with his own.
Well, he already knew how to be a thief, but maybe he's been perfecting it and learning more things to add into it.
He gets to become a tiny con man.
Yes.
Tiny, adorable, white-robed con man.
Yeah. How could you say no to that?
I know, he's so cute.
Yeah.
He even at one point used his most endearing grin. He charmed the female clerk into letting him have a dead body, which is a talent I wouldn't expect a 7-year-old to have.
No. Oh, no.
We hear more about the Black Alchemists, too. We hear the name Jessalyn again. So, and we heard her name 20 years in the future, or 20-ish.
Right.
So, she's much older than I had originally imagined.
Yeah, me too.
I, for some reason, had imagined her as a contemporary of Locke and the boys.
Me too, and I think it's because of her name.
Maybe.
I think that sounds like a young woman's name to me, which doesn't make any sense that names sound like they have ages, because that's your name from all of your ages, but some names just sound like that.
It's generational, because to me it sounds like Jessica, which is a name basically of our generation. So you don't really meet 50-year-old Jessicas, I think.
I don't know
that you meet a lot of 30-year-old Jessicas.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's the way that, names become old lady names.
Yes.
Because they were popular in a certain generation.
Well, and also, now, a lot of women that are, say, in their 80s or whatever, have names that people are naming their kids now. There's this huge gap of time where then they come back into fashion. And people start naming their young children. Probably not Doris.
Gertrude.
Yeah. But yeah, some of those names that maybe were a lot more popular in, I don't know, 40s or 50s. Yeah. So I guess that's probably, we just hear that name and our minds associate an age to it, even though it's not super accurate.
Yeah, my daughter's name is Isadora, and that's kind of an old-fashioned name, too. Yeah.
Well, my name's Rosanna. How many of those have you met besides me? I have met a Rosanna who is like 15 years younger than I am. Maybe 20. But then I also met a Rosanna when I was a teenager that was 80.
Oh.
So.
Also your grandmother.
Also my grandmother. and my aunt, and my great-grandmother, and my daughter.
That's right. There are a lot of Rosannas.
There are 5 of them. But maybe, I guess, Rosanna's not one of the names that you can automatically assign an age to.
Mm-hmm. Because it didn't have a popular phase.
Right, never. It's never, I don't think it's ever been anywhere close to the top 100.
So we find out the guilds, it says, the guilds of alchemists and physicers are entitled to a certain number of fresh corpses each year by ducal charter, straight off the gallows for cutting open and poking around. I wonder if they don't have enough criminals, which seems unlikely in Camor. They're still guaranteed bodies, so what would they do if they didn't have enough?
Maybe people that died from a sickness?
Maybe.
Or an accident, if you can get them quick enough from it.
Mm-hmm.
I would think also that people that did die from a sickness, those bodies would be pretty high on the list of wanting, because you can see what the disease did to them.
Yeah, that's true.
On the inside. So I bet they'll take whatever they can get.
I don't know how advanced their medicine is, so I don't know if they'd be afraid of contagion or...
Well, I guess that's true. But to me, it seems like, especially when you're talking about people that are, say, alchemists or doctors, what do they call them instead of doctors? Physicers. They probably, for one thing, are a little bit smarter than the average person if they're in the medical field. And so probably not as scared or superstitious. And probably are interested enough to take the risk.
Yeah.
To see a body, an internal organ that has tumors or something like that. They want to see that. I don't want to see that. But that's gross.
The twins get a little more information about Locke here as well. Father Chains says, let me emphasize that you can't make the corpse yourself. You have to find it honestly dead by someone else's doing. And then a little bit later says that you also can't get it from riots or fires. And the twins just stare at Locke because he says it so purposefully and they know it's not them.
Right.
So I get the hint that they're now figuring out a little more about Locke's past.
Yes. And probably are a little nervous around him. Not sure what he's going to do.
Well, Locke says, don't worry, I'm not as reckless as I was,
in my youth,
little.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what's so funny about that? That is universal for kids.
Oh, yeah.
They talk about when I was little, and they're less than 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You're
it's
like,
so cute.
Dude, that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So Locke goes out on the town, and we see a little bit more of Camor, including cat bridges that are made of elder glass. We get a little bit of a history lesson about the city. There's one thing I love about Scott Lynch, and the way he just keeps everything so interesting. There's one line where it just starts, when one of Nick Avanti's great-grand predecessors. On finer points of city lore such as this, Locke's undeniably prodigious knowledge dissolved in a haze of total indifference. And it continues, if this were a Song of Ice and Fire, we'd have 20 pages of the names of all these people in the history and what they did and why they were famous and who's named after them now.
Yeah.
And while that's interesting, and Scott Lynch does really great world building, we get to skip the boring stuff if we want to.
Yes.
We get right into the fun part.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that he recognizes that there, obviously tons of history here.
And that we want some information.
Exactly.
We don't want to be bogged down with facts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if Scott Lynch had some sort of personal wiki of everything about all of these characters.
Oh, I would love to see that.
That he just uses to...
Just as a reference
to write it.
To have along with reading it. So I could just look people... Like an index of names.
Yeah. Well, and George R. Martin usually has in the back of each book, he has the history of each family and the characters.
Yeah.
Which I enjoy stuff like that sometimes, but I usually just really skim it.
Yep, me too.
I could not keep up with all of it. There are so many people in masks everywhere. You've got the magistrates in scarlet robes and velvet masks. You have the priestess of, I'm not sure how to say it, but I'm going to say Azugaya, priestess of the death goddess.
That's not creepy.
Well, and she's in a silver mesh mask too. And so everyone is just hidden, basically.
It's like a masquerade party.
It is. I like it. It's more fun costumes.
Yeah.
We get to hear about all the different cages they have at the Palace of Patience, basically to torture prisoners.
Yeah, they sound awful.
They sound like really terrible amusement park rides.
Yeah, they do.
I would not enjoy that.
No. The basket that just keeps moving?
Ugh. Yeah. So Locke has put together the plan for his first real con. He doesn't tell Chains what it is, but basically gets permission to try it. I enjoy that Chains didn't know what a massive project this had become.
Right.
That it wasn't just getting a body.
To me, too, it sounded a lot more complicated than it had to be.
Oh, yeah. They didn't need to do anything after they got the body. They could have gone straight back.
And couldn't they have just stolen the body? I mean, did they have to have this big whole thing about the widow and everything?
I'm not sure if they could have stolen it. There were a lot of people around, especially if they wanted a fresh corpse.
I mean, they're really good at figuring stuff out. So I guess if this was what they came up with, this was the best it could have been. But it seemed really complicated.
And I wonder if Locke did it just because it was so much fun.
I think there could be some truth to that.
He loves street theater.
Well, and he's not been able to do it for a long time. And it's his jam. He loves that. So, yeah, maybe he made it over theatrical just for the fun of it. It was successful.
Yeah. And he was so good with the clerk. He's so good with people.
Yeah.
He said, "Did you not give me what I asked for out of the goodness of your heart and with no coin involved?" Cheeky bastard.
Okay, so, cheeky and bastard, cute. So, since the other podcast that we're doing is on Vikings, I cannot help but to mirror Locke and Ragnar. Do you ever do that?
Yeah.
They have a lot of similarities.
They do.
I don't know. I can't not connect them.
They're both sneaky.
Yes, and they're both great with people. You know, the way Ragnar, does the crowd, when they're at the thing. I can see Locke being that way too. Just really pulling people in and onto his side.
Yeah.
That's just something that keeps popping up in my head. Listeners, you should listen to our other podcast on Vikings because it's a really good show and you'll definitely see those parallels too. I think.
We also do comparisons of Sabetha, whom we haven't met yet, and
Lagertha. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't this weird that these are the two things we picked and we've got so many similarities?
Even though the shows are so different, the show and the book are incredibly different.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Very different. But the characters, and maybe that's just a sign of good characters.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They cart the body through the Vindesna district, which has really pretty roofs, all different colors, shiny tiles. They get all kinds of free candles from Madame Strollo. I love that they keep wishing everyone a specific number of years of health.
Based on what they get.
Even though they're not even initiates of Paralandro, so it really doesn't.
They have no authority.
No.
To be giving out well wishes.
And yet they still give specific numbers.
Yep.
As if they believe themselves that it matters.
I think so.
And Callow runs off and changes into a robber and then robs Locke and then runs away again, and they get everyone to give them money.
Yes.
They feel so bad. Even at the temple, Father Chains is getting money.
I know.
I just loved that.
And Locke is just so matter of fact about it. He's like, well, we had to spend a lot of money to get the body. I just wanted to make sure I could repay it.
And they brought the corpse back. There's a nice little back and forth with Kahlo and Galdo. "It's a great corpse," said Kahlo. "It smells a bit," said Gallo. "Other than that," said Kahlo, "it's a fantastic corpse."
It's fantastic.
They're so happy about it. And Locke gets to keep some of the money toward his basically his blood debt.
Which is fair. That's fair. Yeah.
He's getting to start. I had forgotten about that already, that he has to save all this money.
I had not forgotten.
Oh.
Because it doesn't even make any sense. Why am I worried about him? It was 20 years ago, right? Apparently he worked it off.
In this fictional character's life.
Right. But yeah, it seemed pretty overwhelming amount of money. But Locke's just like, do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Next week, we're going to read Chapter 5, The Grey King.
Great.
And the interlude called Jean Tannen.
Yay!
You excited to get to learn more about both of them?
Yes. I'm very excited about Jean's interlude.
Yeah. Do you have any predictions based on the names?
Do you want me to be a smart aleck about it?
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm guessing the chapter about the Grey King is going to have
don't even.
to do with the Grey King. No. Hopefully, we'll get contact with the Grey King.
Okay.
I would like to find out who it is, and I'm guessing that contact is going to come through Locke.
Okay.
I have a feeling that he's going to start trying to figure out what's going on there to protect himself and the rest of the gentleman bastards too.
Yeah.
And then Jean, I'm just super jazzed that we're going to get a Jean backstory. I'm assuming that's what it is. It better be.
It just follows Jean around the town as he walks and reads and runs into things while he's reading.
Reads and eats apples. Yeah. All the way through the core.
Beats up some people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any other predictions?
I guess I think that Locke... I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. Nazca? Is that? Okay. I'm assuming that Locke and Nazca are going to have to start spending time together for their own safety. Because I don't see the Kappa getting any less paranoid, at least until Locke maybe figures out what's going on with the Grey King. So they're going to have to start faking it.
That sounds problematic for the Khan.
Oh, totally.
Also,
Yeah.
since he basically promised he'd only go out in town as Lucas Fairwhite for a while to stay safe from the Grey King.
Yeah, what is going to happen?
How's he going to balance
there?
those two?
I don't know. That's a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our episode. Please leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at SomeCheek.
And visit our website to send us questions and to learn about our other podcast, somethingcheekypodcast.com.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Dig-a-da-dum, dig-a-da-da-da-da-dum.